Hi, this is Theo from PocketBlocks.com. Today I'm going to show you this Sakura Koi watercolor box set that I bought a few weeks ago. Today I'm just going to try painting with them and see how well the pigment perform. So let's get started. Sakura Koi watercolors, they come in the pen form as well as in the tube form. For the box set like this, they have 12 colors, 18 colors and the 24 colors box set. And with this box set, let me show you what's inside. We have a tray. This is a tray that you can detach and you can put it on the side like this, and you can then hold it onto your hand. There's actually a thumb ring right at the back, so you can just lift it out and put it like this, and you can put a tray like this. This is quite convenient, and it comes with two sponge on the left and right side, a water brush. This is the Sakura water brush, and then for this set there are 24 colors. Depending on how many colors you get, the box layout, the internal configuration is going to vary slightly. So this is the one with 24 colors. And what are these colors? Let's take a look at the colors. This is the list of colors that are included in this box. I'm not going to list them all out, but I just want to point out this particular word here, hue, because there are several colors with this word here, hue. You see here, cobalt blue hue, cadmium red hue, aeroline hue. This word hue, sometimes it means that the paint uses less concentration of pigment, or it can mean that the paint uses different pigments to make up that specific shade of color. Take for example this cadmium red hue. It could mean that different pigments were used to make up this shade, because cadmium is a toxic chemical or toxic metal. So to make it safe, sometimes manufacturers, they would want to use different pigments to make this color instead of using cadmium itself. Whether or not the color is high quality or low quality will depend on the pigment that is used, so testing is required to find that out. To save time, I'm not going to paint out all the colors. I just want to use some primary colors. So let's start with permanent yellow dip, which is this color. The pens are a bit dry, so you might want to add a drop of water first just to soften it up so that you can get the colors to dissolve. And let's see how the color looks like. This is a very nice mixing tray. It is quite large, so there's a good amount of surface area to mix colors on. Let me try this now. This is permanent yellow dip. Let me add it some water. This looks like it's a transparent color. By the way, I bought this box set on Amazon for US $20. So it's quite affordable. This is permanent orange. It seems that it's transparent as well. Next, Queen Rose is a very bright, strong, cool red color. And this is Prussian blue. Alright, now I'm going to compare this against the box set from Prima Marketing. This is also $20, and I want to compare using the similar colors that I can get from Prima Marketing. So this is permanent yellow dip. I'm not sure what this specific color is, but it is quite close. So I'm just going to add some water to dissolve this and see how it looks like. Quite strong as well. The two colors are quite close. Next, I'm going to use an orange that is quite close to this permanent orange. Now, from what I can see, this orange is much more intense compared to this orange. Next, I'm going to use Queen Rose. This Queen Rose is slightly brighter, just slightly. And lastly, I'm going to use Prussian blue. I'm not sure what this blue is actually, but it should be quite close. The reason is because Prima Marketing, they don't include any information regarding the pigments they use for these paints. However, they are actually quite intense. So this should be Prussian blue. Now from what I can see right now, it seems that Prima Marketing is slightly more intense, especially when it comes to the orange here and also the Queen Rose. This blue here is, I would say that they are about the same. When it comes to application, I find that it's easier to apply the paints from Prima Marketing compared to Sakura. The pens are a bit hard and they are slightly more difficult to dissolve compared to Prima Marketing. But if you add enough water, they can still dissolve quite well. So colors are pretty intense. So let's see how well they mix. I'm going to make some secondary colors like orange, green, purple. To mix the orange, I will start up with this permanent yellow dip and a warm red. And let's see what we can get. Perhaps a bit more orange. Not too bad, but I can sense that the colors are not as concentrated when I compare these to artist grade quality. Let's try and mix this yellow with blue to get a green. This is Aeroline yellow. I'm going to mix it with cerulean blue, Aeroline and cerulean. Notice that I have to continuously scrub the paint to get the pigment off. So if you want to mix a large wash, you have to take a bit of time to do that. This is Aeroline and cerulean blue, a nice yellow green that you can get. By the way, there is a yellow green in this box set as well. Maybe I'll just show it to you. So this is the yellow green that is included in this box set. Slightly different compared to this one that I just mixed. And lastly, I want to mix a purple, so I will go maybe for Crimson Lake, or this is a Queen Rose, I think, or is this a Crimson Lake? I'm not too sure exactly, but this color is a bit dull, so this is not very strong. I'm going to mix this with maybe ultramarine. This should be ultramarine. So this is the purple I can get. Maybe mix it with another red to see if I can get a stronger purple. This is Queen Rose that I used earlier, and mix it with ultramarine. So yep, you can get a much brighter purple with ultramarine and a cool Queen Rose. Let me show you the swatches of all the colors that I have painted. So these are all the colors that I've painted earlier. Definitely they are not as intense. I mean, they are still quite strong, but not as intense when I compare them to other colors that I have from other brands, especially let's say Mission Gold, for example. This is Mission Gold 9 palette, 9 colors, and this is Sakura with 24 colors. You can see some of the colors, like this orange here is much stronger. The red are also a bit stronger. So some of these paints, they are a bit more difficult to dilute, to dissolve, like Crimson Lake is more difficult, so you need to spend much longer time to get the pigment out to get a color. Same thing with this color, Jean Brilliant. I think the blue colors, they are alright. Yellow seems to be alright. But overall, I can really feel that they are not as intense compared to the artist's quality. So having said that, let's try and use them to color a sketch and see if they work well together. If you put the mixing board onto the cover, it's going to move around and it's going to make this noise, not very nice. Anyway, I like to put it here because it's quite convenient. So I'm going to mix a skin tone with yellow ochre and a red color. Yellow ochre is not very transparent for this particular brand. Let me try and get as even a wash I can. She's carrying a red umbrella, so I'm just going to use this red, maybe mixed with a bit of a burnt umber, just to dull it down a bit. Let me try and paint the shadow areas using ultramarine and a brown. So usually when you mix ultramarine with burnt sienna, you get a nice shadow tone. In this case, I only have burnt umber here, so I'm just going to try with this color and see what I can get. This is quite nice. And finally, for the hair, maybe I want to blend ultramarine, the ultramarine mix into ivory black. When I mix Sakura watercolors, I find that the vibrancy, they drop faster compared to artist grade watercolors, and also the colors appear to be a bit chalky to me. For example, this is the secondary color mixtures that I mixed earlier. Now that it's dry, they appear to be pastel-like, a bit subdued, not as intense as I want them to be, but this is not unexpected of student grade watercolors. So if you want intense colors, I would say you should use the colors straight from the pens without much mixing. And the primary reason why the colors die down so quickly is because many of these colors, they actually are made out of multiple pigments. So if you mix multiple pigments with multiple pigments, and also the concentration of the pigment is not that high, the colors will die down quickly. As compared to artist grade, which uses single pigments, if you mix single with single, you're going to get a much stronger color. However, if you want to get a better watercolor experience for the same price, I would recommend you go get this watercolor confections made by this company called Prima Marketing. That is the one that I showed you earlier, Prima Marketing Sakura Koi. The nice thing about this is the colors are surprisingly intense, and when they mix together, they don't lose their intensity. So for US $20, this is, I would say I'll recommend this over Sakura. That's it for today's video review. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section below. If you are using Sakura Koi watercolors, I would love to hear your thoughts about them as well. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more art product reviews, sketching tips and techniques. See you in the next video. Bye.